September 19th, City of St. John. Tom, to give us some help.
Pray with me, please. Dear God, we thank you for the City of St. John. We thank you for the members of the City Council who willingly serve the city. Thank you for those who work for the city in various capacities. Give the council members and the citizens of the city wisdom as they make decisions on the needs of this city. Keep all our hearts able to listen to you and to one another during this time. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Additions to the agenda, any other ones besides sidewalk under city clerk?
So moved.
Second.
Passes 4-0. Citizen comments? Any citizen comments?
The lights at the Wit
Lights at the
Center
Wit
are
Center.
taken care of. They're on
Taken care
order.
of.
Yep,
Maybe that's why she didn't show up.
they're on
Okay,
order.
what about weeds? Anybody got anything to say about that?
I talked to Dawn, and she is expressing her concern about the weeds in various streets. I believe the one that she mentioned was West Street. Just passing along what's coming in. So there you go.
You can rest her soul that that's been took care of
I will tell
the
you.
next morning.
The others will get taken care of as soon as the street project's done and the wind goes down.
She visited with me too, and I think Mark heard some of that conversation.
Yeah. I heard it all right.
Yeah. Okay. Consent agenda.
Oh, wait.
Wait.
Go-
No, I just wanted to kind of reiterate my thanks. I said something over social media last week about all of the stuff that's been going on in the city, and I really appreciate the streets and looking better all the time, and pass that on because a lot of people out there are pretty thankful for that.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Approve the minutes of regular council meeting September 5th, 2017. Appropriation ordinance 19 of 2017, $16,745.09. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, department heads and committee reports. Grant administration, Lisa Cornwell is not here. Scratch that. Police, Adam.
Before I get to the two items on the agenda, I'll proceed with my report first so I can give you all the good news that I have. Our Dodge truck, once again with 62,000 miles on it, has decided to break down. We put you remember right, several months ago under warranty, we put a new cam lifters, cam positioning sensor in it. Probably 2 weeks ago, we spent somewhere around $600 to put a thermostat water pump in it. Chris called me tonight when he was on patrol and said while he was driving, check engine light came on, and he wasn't able to go over 20 to 30 miles an hour. So he dropped it off at my house, picked up the car. Before I came here, I went out and tried to start it. It turns over just fine, but it will not fire and start. So it's still, as far as I know, it's still under warranty. So if you see it on the back of the tow truck and route to Marmies, that's what's going on with it. At the request of some of the council members, I did speak with the sheriff about coming to a council meeting and expressing whatever he wants to talk about or answer any questions about the possibility, the idea of the sheriff taking over law enforcement. He told me he would not attend a meeting unless he was contacted directly by a council member or council members and requested to do that. I passed it along, but that's what he asked me to pass along to you guys, and he would actually like to see that come from a council member or the body as a whole. Kind of to quell some more of our rumors, I have another employee, Charlie Brown, who has indicated to me he is seeking out other employment. His needs he has basically stated to me, are purely personal. There's some stuff going on that he does not feel that he's going to stay here any longer. Obviously, I don't feel that it would be at all appropriate for me to discuss that in this venue. However, if any council members are concerned, I know he is more than willing and open to a phone call, or if you would like to know specifically what's going on, feel free to contact him. And it was also passed on to me by Charlie, who he was told by another citizen. Now, obviously, this is third-party information. I have no idea the legitimacy of it, but somebody expressed to him that a council member felt that I should have told you guys about Chris's departure sooner. The reason I didn't do that is because I didn't have any guarantees he was leaving yet. I waited to do that until I was fairly certain that he was going to go. So I just, as always, you guys can call me, stop by the house 24/7. If you hear things on the street, rumors or whatever, and you want to discuss them, please, any one of you are welcome to get a hold of me. So like I said, I don't know if that's legitimate information, but if it is, I just want to put that out there. I'm available all the time for any of that kind of stuff you guys might need. So with that being said, I would like permission to go ahead and put out an advertisement essentially for a, I don't know how you basically an eligibility list. I would like to go ahead and advertise for applications, and it would be put under that it would be an eligibility list for future openings. We don't have any right now, but I have 2 officers indicating to me that they're essentially on the way out, and that's going to put us in a really bad position if that comes at the same time. So if you guys are okay with that, I have several avenues that I can advertise for free to start off with. Don't have to pay anything for newspapers, anything like that. And I could get the ball rolling, but I think that's going to be an important thing to do to stay ahead of what might happen.
I don't have a problem with that. I think you should.
What's the rest of the council?
I think we need to decide whether we're going to talk to the county or not first. I think that's, first thing I think we should do is decide whether we're going to talk to the county and get it right acting like we are.
Either way, I don't know if you're gonna get, and I don't know if John found out anything, because we asked him about it.
As far as the process, well, I'm gonna guess it's not gonna be as simple as the county just taking over. I did not look into that. I guess that did not make it on my to-do list.
You're on speak.
I said, I guess that did not make it on my to-do list.
Okay.
I mean, I can look at the process, send an email, but I'm just gonna guess it's a little more difficult to do than
Complex from my understanding.
well, I don't know if it's like an interlocal agreement as far as merging two departments, or whether it's simply a decision to close your department, thus leaving everything for the county. Then you have a county attorney that's not prosecuting, investigating cases.
If you go ahead and have Rob come and see what he has to say.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with him getting an eligibility list in case things fall through.
Exactly.
I mean, if it takes a year or 2-year process, then you won't have any others. So I'm fine with it, I guess. I guess if we need to speak with Rob, we can get hold of him and have him in a meeting.
I have to start looking, I guess.
One thing that I would request, if, for some reason, and I'm speaking from experience, in 2008, Sergeant Rudy and I both ended up having to work 3 months without a day off due to having an officer in the academy and a chief at that time having a broken leg. I'm not willing to go through that again. It wasn't worth it the first time. So if it happens, if we have a couple guys leave, I would at least request the council's backing to encourage the sheriff's department to help us out. We didn't have that the first time, and that was the reason that we essentially were working, and we did. I mean, we worked 3 months without a day off.
I wouldn't be opposed to hiring a part-time person if you could find one to fill in if that happened as well.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I'm just, if you guys can at least tell us that you would encourage the county to help us out a little bit, because although they don't enforce any of the ordinances or anything like that, they do have countywide jurisdiction.
Right.
I don't see a problem with that at all.
And you guys are deputized, right?
We technically, we don't have commission cards through the sheriff's department, but with the blessing of the sheriff, we can go out and help them. We do it on a regular basis. But as to say, you know, with the previous sheriff, he actually made reserve deputy commission cards. But my understanding of the statute that that's not necessary, and that's the reason that the current sheriff.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm trying to. But does it work in reverse? Can the sheriff deputies be used to prosecute loose dog cases? Or
No, sheriffs do not have the authority to enforce city ordinance or work code because they operate only under state statute. Now, if they were hired as a part-time employee, then they could, but in their duties under the sheriff's office, they don't have the authority to do that, and they won't. The sheriff has told me they will not capture animals, they won't chase dogs, they won't take care of city ordinance or anything like that, even if it comes to the full effect of them taking over law enforcement services. They're taking over the protection, and that's it. So essentially, even with their help, one of us is still going to have to be on call and available to handle anything that would happen, city ordinance or code-wise.
Okay, I just want to get it started.
Okay.
It's not like you're,
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's just and it'll directly state that. It's an eligibility list, and if they're qualified and it's approved, then they would be contacted in the future to move on in the process. But it'll allow us to get some applications in and go through, and you know, the background checks don't cost us anything. We do all those, so we can have a lot of that stuff done, and then be prepared to move forward should we want to.
Do we need a motion for that, or do we just consent on council?
consent thing.
Consent?
Okay. Appreciate that.
Sheridan, Jim?
What's my opinion?
Well, is it yes or no? We need to know.
Well, doesn't matter.
So it's not a voting
Yeah,
question.
it is.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Are you going to talk about that EMS bill?
No, I thought you were. I'm sorry.
I can.
So I texted him, I'm like, where's this go?
Yeah, I assumed under you where it said the response from the county attorney, that's what that was, well, that's what I get first thing. Moving on to the PD pay, is that something you guys needs to be covered in open session, executive session? I'm cool either way.
If it's a policy issue, it needs to be done in open. If it's you advocating and providing a list as to why certain people should receive pay increases, then it should be done in closed session.
Then it would be the latter.
So do we need to put that at the end, or?
The end is fine with me, if that's.
Yeah, we would need to amend the agenda at that point, but it's easy to do by motion.
So do we need to do that now, or wait till we get down there?
Wait till we get down there, Sean.
Okay.
Just in case something else pops up.
Okay, and the holiday pay. It's something we've discussed in the past. Essentially, I think it would greatly benefit our department and the city as a whole if we went to, the way it works now is because the police department doesn't have holidays off, essentially. The city provides us a benefit in an extra day off. So if an officer works Christmas Day, then he can take another day off pretty much whenever they would like to and use it similar to a vacation day in lieu of the fact that they can't take that day off. The problem you run into is the city is quite generous with the vacation package you provide, and then by the time, depending on how council votes on Christmas and stuff, we add 9 to 11 holidays a year on it, we have a hard time using up the leave. So my request would be that the officers that are working on the holidays, instead of having that extra time off, would get paid holiday pay, and then the officers that aren't working that day or would like to take the holiday off, then get the holiday off like a regular city employee. It would help us with our scheduling a lot. I know I have officers that would prefer to have the holiday pay versus having the holiday off, which would free it up to the ones that would like to have it off. So I just want to, like I said, we talked about it before, and the decision was made to keep the policy the way it is. But I want to come to you again and see if that might be a option we can put in play.
I'd just soon pay somebody for their time if they're working a holiday, whether it be a city employee or the police department, or I think it's only fair.
I agree.
Are you talking regular time, double time, what are you talking?
Holiday.
Time and a half?
Time and a half.
Time and a half?
Holiday pays usually. But that goes again into the policy and procedures that one of these days we're gonna have to sit down and go through.
I totally agree, because looking at our compensation package, it's way out of line.
Well, that was from the current pay plan that was adopted last year, I believe.
Yeah, they're way out of line.
So that's gonna have to be,
I don't object to paying somebody time and a half if he's working a holiday.
I don't either. I think that's only fair.
I do too.
motion on that?
So
I
moved.
think you
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Fire Chief, Mike isn't here. Jamie, take a vote.
Well. Okay, a few things before my list. The 14th we're having our movie night in the square. We have already had a couple donors, and we have a couple more that are just kind of waiting on a price from me. But I've coordinated with Laura Davis with the library. We're having a garage sale from 8 in the morning till 1. We're going to move skating from 2 to 4 that day. From 4 to about 6, we're going to have painting pumpkins, and then there's a Kindness Rocks thing going around. It's like this kindness movement where you paint rocks, and has a little saying on it, and people have been moving them from like town to town. And then we're also going to provide a meal, barbecued plate for $7. And then the movie is going to start about 7:30, and we will have a concession stand for like popcorn. We have some candy bars and little snack stuff. All of the money generated from that is going to go towards Jubilee, but the movie and the activities and things like that is going to be free. It's just the concession stands that will charge, and obviously the food. So that's going to be the 14th. I've coordinated with Debbie Waddle and Michelle Maherter. They're going to do their trunk or treat up here on the square instead of at the church parking lot. So we can kind of just focus on getting things and people downtown instead of elsewhere. So if you or your business or help spread the word that everyone can come down here and do a trunk or treat instead of having to have people come to their house. I think it's from 4:30 to 6. There's that. I started on Jubilee already. I already have almost 40 interested vendors. So I'm hoping that we're going to have a better Jubilee. I haven't gotten contact today, but someone offered to start a car show for that weekend. I have a lot of people saying, hey, I will do this. So that's awesome. So, but on all the serious notes now, we need to appoint a new zoning board member. Sheila Fisher, we talked about it at the last zoning board meeting, but we just need, that was their recommendation. So now we just need Bobby to appoint, or council to appoint whoever, Sheila, to that position, if that's what we wish to do.
What's the council think about that? Regarding the appointment?
Fine.
Okay. Do I need no motion? Motion to accept, to appoint Sheila Fisher to the zoning board.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0. Appoint her, call the zoning board Let's call on the person to appoint.
The appointment of the new health officer and trying to keep the website updated. I think that Chelsea was still on there, so I believe we need to appoint the new county health nurse, which is Shannon Snyder. I called her and spoke with her, and I just kind of explained to her what I found and that I was assuming that she was it, so we were going to appoint her. So she asked if she needed to be here tonight. I told her no. If you guys do want to meet her and have a conversation with her, I can invite her to next council meeting if you wish.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor to appoint Shannon Snyder to health officer? All passes 5-0.
Gotcha. Okay, payroll and time clock. I'll make this short and sweet. The T-sheets that we've been paying for however long, when Ladonna talked to you guys about it, T-sheets has not worked out very well. The girls in the office tried to use it, and they had several problems with it. I believe Adam's guys were my next to test out, and it kept kicking them out of the app. It wouldn't even let them stay clocked in. So I'm to the point of payroll and this time clock stuff that I'm about had it. We need to get it figured out and be done with it. Okay?
So the time clock deal not working at all?
No one's been using it. So I would like to just get rid of it and continue with the papers. If you guys see a problem with that, we can look into a price of a time puncher. But I think trying to be online and it working with everyone's schedule and everyone's department is going to be a headache. And right now, it's just not working. Especially with the average pay that we use. And that's another thing I would like to get rid of. I would like to pay everyone the hours worked for their work. The average pay is a nightmare.
We're paying everybody based off of a 2,080 hour.
They're basically
Year
set up
period.
as salaried employees, and that's not how it should be.
So not paid.
Basically, everybody gets paid for
Go for it, Jim.
86.67 hours every pay period. And I can tell you that, like, if you come in the middle of the year, you are losing money if you start here in the middle of the year, because
That may be a problem.
it's supposed to average out over a year, which it would if you worked
If you-
January 1st to December 31st.
Well,
but-
it would average out June to June, like it would average out
Yeah.
your start date and then a year later. It's not
Right.
necessarily January to December, but like this, we are going to run into the issue. I spoke with Jennifer today. With her starting in the middle of the month, they were going to try to prorate it out already, and I told them no. I said if we are approved to switch it, then we will figure that out at the end of everything right before we switch over. Because if we look at that now, I mean, it's going to create a mess. If we switch over, I told her that we would fix everything, but we have to switch over first, because if we stay at the average pay, then
Switch over
her
to-
pay will...
Is this something that's new?
No, they've been doing that for, I
There
don't
isn't
know how long.
anybody yet that hadn't been cheated, I'll guarantee you. I've
I-
had guys that came after the 15th or before the 1st and been stiff 2 and 3 days.
I just want it to be gone, and we're going to go
I
with
think
hours
the
paid.
only 3 people that should get paid based off of the average would
Salary.
be you and Jeff and that.
Yeah,
Correct,
salary.
salary.
That's
Everybody
how it
else
should
needs to
Everybody
be
else
paid
falls in the
hourly.
field.
The way that I was explained it was that it was for budgeting purposes, and it is better for your employees because they know what they're going to bring home, because some days you're going to have 13 days in a work week, and some days you're going to have 17, and blah, blah, blah.
Welcome to the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to be done with it. So, whoever would like to make a
Do
motion.
you use
So moved.
time
Second.
clocks? What's your method of reporting time work?
We have time sheets. Guys just have time sheets. And I sign them, the supervisors sign them.
The supervisor do They just turn them into the
Yeah,
city.
we did, we turned them in,
That's how
turned them
they've
into
done
the
it for
treasurer.
30
We did it
years.
forever, yeah.
So you're on the honor system
Sure.
when you go
Yeah.
clock in and clock
Yeah.
out.
I mean, you know, if a guy needs 10 minutes to run home for something, I mean, we're not gonna knock him 10 minutes.
You don't make him clock out.
No. I mean, a lot of days he's here after quitting time anyway.
So, did we, well, that time clock, did we purchase something, or we just
It was
signed
just a
up for
monthly
It was a
subscription.
subscription
Okay.
on software.
cancel it
What
at
was
any time.
it?
Jimmy, what was the main issue? It just kept kicking everybody out, or?
He kept kicking Adam's guys out, and then the girls kept trying to, I don't remember, they were trying to go back and fix something or put something in, and then it wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, our biggest issue is we were using the phone app.
Right.
Because obviously, you know, it's, we go to work from home. And what it would do is when you would clock in, and then you would essentially close out the app in your phone, it would automatically clock you back out. So essentially, the first couple days that Aaron and I tried using it, you know, I got in there to see how it was running, and I noticed he clocked in at that day. I think he was working evening shift, so he clocked in at 4. Basically, I don't know, it was like 3:58, and it clocked him out at 3:58. So then I went and looked at mine, and I had come to work at 7:45, and it clocked me out at 7:46. So, yeah, I mean.
That was one of the reasons I think we went that way, was to try it and see how it worked.
Yeah.
Because it didn't cost us anything if we wanted to cancel it. Everybody else wants a 1 year or 2 year guarantee on stuff like that.
Well, I know even at school with the Skyward, it was having some glitches at the very beginning. They seem to have worked out now, but it was a big pain, very big pain.
What's council?
If I need them to say it needs to start January 1, do I need them to redo the motion?
I mean, I think it has to be
When I talked to
set
the
at some point in
auditor,
the future.
yeah, the auditor said it would be better to do it January 1.
Of this year?
Yeah, like just finish
Go back.
out the year.
Oh, of 18, start,
Yeah, start January 1 of 18, just to finish out the year the way we've been doing it, since there's been so much already.
Yeah, we need to get everything
So it's
straightened out
just-
by then too.
Yeah.
And have it, provide notice to everybody starting on
Yeah,
like
'cause
December
we
1st
have
or
a
something.
lot
that
of
there's
changes that need to be coming, so. Do I need them to re-motion that?
Yeah. Just so everybody's on the same page.
okay. Change motion to
Okay,
that.
I got it.
January 1st.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the table to change from average pay scale to whatever she's
Hourly.
Hourly
Actual
pay
work.
scale.
That is just for the non-salaried
For hourly
employees.
employees.
Oh, you busted. I thought I was gonna sneak that in there.
Can I do that too?
They wouldn't want me.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay, comp time. You have a handout in your packet. The auditor's suggestion is we just need to get rid of it because by law, comp time is supposed to be used within the week that it's earned. We're not supposed to be holding on to it and doing this and doing that with it.
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, you can earn comp time and it sits there.
You carry up to 40 hours, you keep up to 40 hours.
Yeah, that's part of your handbook there.
Yeah, that's a change in the handbook, because the handbook's been that way for 30 years.
Okay.
The
That-
guys can
that's
take
what-
it either as time off or with, as pay, either
Right.
way.
Yeah, that's what's gonna dictate all that though.
So maybe that needs to wait till you and I can sit down and get the handbook.
Yeah, I remember we were supposed to do
Monday
that.
night.
Yeah, well, I have that on my list still.
Better fingernails.
Sharp ink pen?
My list doesn't get smaller, it seems.
Where does comp time and vacation time cross?
and doesn't is basically the same.
Comp time is like if
It's like
someone
taking vacation, getting paid for it, and then still keeping all your vacation.
Yeah.
But here's also the
you
other.
can choose between overtime and
So-
comp time, right?
Yeah, it's either like I worked 45 hours in the week, so I can change 5 of that to be overtime pay, or I can change 5 of that to be comp time.
You can leave 15 minutes early when you want to go fishing or something like that. That's what it's supposed to be designed for.
But you're
Take-
salaried, you can't leave
No,
anyway.
No, we can't. No, the salary employees
It's
can't.
just the salary employees. But the problem was the confusion in the handbook about.
You took the job.
How stupid was I?
Do we just allow?
Comp time does
people-
not come into effect as time and a half until the guy completes 40 hours of work.
And that's the other issue, is
So-
tracking it to actually be paid time and a half. If that's been being done, I cannot tell you.
It's designed, Jim, so you can go to the dentist or something like that without having to use
You know,
vacation
dentist
time.
is sick leave.
Well, I mean, or take the kid to the skating party or something like that.
Just take the afternoon off.
But
Screw off.
the funny thing is,
Okay.
it may create a violation of the cash basis law if there's too much accumulation because you're not.
Hasn't done it in 30 years.
It could. If you guys remember, I drafted this beautiful memo on July 5th.
Well,
And there's a case law out there where the city of Leavenworth or something got sued by some city employees, and the argument the city used was that it was a violation of the cash basis law anyways. So this issue's been litigated before. You're not the only city that.
And how did that turn out?
I'm not 100% certain. I'm not sure that the litigation is over with, because it would have been federal litigation.
and the other thing that we're running into, just because I was looking, we're allowing this comp time to be had, but then that lets them sit on their vacation time that we need to actually look at with the handbook, because the way that the handbook reads, I believe, I could be wrong, but you have your X amount of vacation, and then you can only roll over so much. So I don't know if we talked about if there's a cap on it, but we keep looking at all of these vacation hours that are built up.
Yeah, but I think we don't have any employees that have been here long enough to roll over a ton of the vacation. 29 days for an
I'm the
employee
only
over
one.
20 years.
Yeah, you-
20 years?
Well, I'll just tell you here, Charlie Brown, if he leaves, we're going to be paying $3,399 on vacation time, because he has 206 hours.
Yeah, it'd be max of 29
Which he doesn't
days.
get comp time. The police stuff doesn't get comp time anyways, but we have our sick and our vacation for this reason. Comp time, that's the law. You earn your comp time and you use it in that week.
And really, I don't think probably anybody puts in enough hours to where it's really gonna hurt them on their taxes. You have to put in almost, I think it's 67 or 68 hours a week before you start paying the government to work.
There's no 100% tax bracket, you're always making money.
Well,
There,
but at a
let's-
certain point, you do give quite a bit of what you get in overtime back to the government on taxes.
I think this
Our
is,
bracket's, 28% with most people here that work for the city.
can I make a suggestion, just to kind of move things along? Does everybody still have my memo? Do you want me to resend it? It kind of breaks all this down and then provides recommendations on each of these types of.
I'm not sure we got that memo.
I'm
I'm pretty sure you did.
I'm sure we've talked about it. Is why
I think
I know I
I
didn't
feel
get
like
that
we're
memo.
I think we might have asked you to do it, but I don't know if we ever got it.
I don't remember us getting anything like that.
What was it? The
I don't
sixth?
remember I got anything.
it's that thick.
No.
That's not this is the handbook and some other issues.
I read the handbook on vacation and comp,
Can we pass this till next meeting, because I think this is a little bit more of an issue than just attempting to review it all today. I think you guys should read this ahead of Because
As long as you make sure it's in our packet.
if you guys tell me, yeah, let's adopt that recommendation, it's gonna move a lot quicker than.
Could this not be looked at by the 2 or 3 committee and then bring it to council?
And that was the suggestion
I have a
last
solution
time.
at the end of it.
Okay.
I just haven't got there yet. An easier solution for you guys. So we're just gonna table that, huh?
Well, that's my suggestion. You guys can keep talking about it.
Let's just table it.
Okay. Debbie from Blue Cross and Blue Shield brought us some paperwork on dental care. I believe the price sheet was in your packet. Those are the prices on the dental care. I'll just speak for myself. I don't go to the doctor, I go to the dentist. That's about all I have to say for that. The top one that they have starred is your better. It's, I think, like $4 more expensive. She did say if you guys wanted her to come and speak about it, she would. There is different plans and everything covered with your premium and different categories and stuff if you would like to look at that further. Nothing we have to decide tonight. I just told her I would bring it to you guys, and
Do we have a dental plan currently?
no, we do not. I
And
actually
are
just
these
canceled my braces.
premiums per individual or what?
Your first numbers are per individual.
Okay.
It's
And
basically
then,
saying you have to have 4 of them
correct.
to get that pricing. 2 of them, 1 of them,
And
3 of them.
then, the next price, that $69.51 would be the employee and child or children. The 73 is employee and spouse, and then the 108 is a family plan.
108 is a what?
Family plan?
Family plan. Up to how many persons, or is it limited?
I don't think there's probably any limit on
Well, I
And that's a
know
monthly
with their
premium?
yeah, I don't think there's a limit. Like with their regular insurance, it's the only thing paid is the employee, the spouse, and then 3 children. After the third child, they're not.
it. Your premium doesn't go up any higher after 3. So you could have 10 kids and they'd still cover you for 5 people.
So that's that information. But that can also be something that you guys want to look at later with all of the changes and discussions that need to go on with the pay plan and the policy and procedures and everything.
I think I would lump things like this all together and get a committee or whoever, people that you think you would want to work on it with you
And I don't
present
disagree
it
with
to
that,
council.
because, I mean, as far as I can tell, you guys adopted a pay plan that's just been largely ignored. And then there's rules in that pay plan, and I'm not sure when anybody's even evaluated that pay plan. I think my email to Jamie Friday was, sorry for the dumb question, but is this even being followed?
I believe the way that I followed it was that the pay plan was given by Greensburg,
That's where we come from.
and basically it
We
was,
collected it together.
Did we even really adopt that though?
yes you did, I found it.
I remember, but the pay plan copy I have has no reference to a date in which it was.
I don't think
adopted.
we ever
Yeah,
adopted
it's in the
it.
minutes, I went back and I found it.
When was that?
Before Jim.
It was,
Because I don't think we ever really decided. We had discussed it. We
Yeah,
had
we
talked
talked
about fine tuning it.
I remember
and
looking
making
at
some
comparisons
changes.
between cities and everything.
But I don't know if we ever adopted it.
kinda like my memo
Yeah, I'm
minutes
not quite
ago,
sure
it felt like
what it is.
deja vu.
I'm pretty good at remembering what we do and don't do on most of the important stuff.
You
and I
said
don't
you haven't seen
remember.
my memo.
I never seen it. I don't think we ever got your memo.
Didn't you give them the memo the day that Carolyn, was it the meeting that we were over at the annex? Or the meeting after?
I think that John printed it all off for us when we were at the meeting with Teamville. Well, of course, that's different than what you're talking about.
It was,
It's the employee compensation plan and vacation. I've read that. But I think that's historical, not
Yeah,
anything
that's
we've
not
adopted.
anything we've adopted.
Yeah, it was all adopted before me.
Before me as well.
I should have wrote that down. Did I put that in the email when that was adopted to you? I know I looked it up.
Let me type a
Remember,
stupid
Sherry?
question in.
We were talking about it, but
Yeah, you didn't do the date.
That's what we talked about, I still remember whether we,
I don't think we did.
do you remember, Jeff?
Okay, how about I
just know that,
I
I just
guess I
know
would
that
just-
the evaluations changed.
Hey, why don't you lump that with the rest of your stuff?
But it says November 2016. You have in one email.
I remember looking at it when she threw it on my desk, but I don't ever remember the council adopting it.
Because it's got, not only does it have pay structure, but it's got job descriptions.
Oh, yeah. It's got all different colors.
I guess we can figure this out. It's not necessary.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I'll have to do. I know I found it. Maybe I was dreaming. Okay, you guys asked me to look into the life insurance plans. The Sun Life Financial that we have isn't the way that I was reading it. It is a $10,000 policy for what,
$5.90 a month.
So, I actually called our life insurance policy holder, the Advantage Life, that the city employees have. The firefighters cannot be on that policy because they are not considered city employees, and that is why we have separate policies. I did make contact while I was at the conference this weekend with a company. I have that option to call him if you guys would like me to look at other ones, but with finding out that it is the $10,000 policy and it's $5, I was going to make sure you actually wanted me to make that contact before I did.
I'd leave it alone.
Okay. And we are, Marshall and I talked this morning, we're putting in a claim for Denny. Since he passed away, we're gonna get that paperwork going for Barb. Just to update you on that.
I'm pretty sure that comes out of the fire department budget anyway, doesn't it?
Yes. it
The
does.
$5.30 per firefighter.
It's like $90.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and renew that. I think the renew date was November 1st. The prize for fundraiser, Julie Dick called and said last year you guys donated a turkey maybe for their church something. Let me get my note on that. Or, oh no, just kidding. The turkey dinner prize, last year we gave a family pass to the swimming pool. My question is, do we want to do that again for her?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, your service deposit. There's an ordinance that goes over the way that the meter deposits are figured, which is the previous home, the previous person in the home, and you take their average, you take their monthly bills for a year, and then you divide it by 4, I believe, and then you come up with a number, and then if it's over 500, it caps off at 500 basically. A lot of cities are going towards taking service deposits away and just doing a connection fee. My proposal is to go to a connection fee and being able to have a line of credit to get rid of, I think right now it states that we can have a letter of guarantee. So if I wanted to move, Sherry could write a letter of guarantee and say, I'm going to pay my bills. I mean, as much as a letter of guarantee, I mean, that's great, but I would rather see a line of credit history or just have the service fee, a set service fee. We were thinking, how much is
Basically a flat
Stafford?
deposit fee.
Right, and they don't get it back. What we're sitting on now is we have all of these the service deposits, and we're sitting on them, and we have to keep track of the interest every year, and they have to be paid in full on time, and then after they're actually doing that for a year, then we return them their money. It's
Yeah, it's like
With
apply
interest.
to their last,
right,
you apply to their last bill or something in a
Mhm.
year or something.
but I mean, we've had service deposits for people for 30 years
Why is that?
because they don't pay their bills. I guess I don't know. I can't speak on that.
So you don't apply, usually you apply it to like their,
That's only if you don't miss, if you miss one payment or are late one time, you don't get it back.
You have
But
to
then
be.
nothing is ever done with that service deposit, so it just sits there and collects interest. They've never rolled them over.
Some of them got really high. Made it tough for people to even get connected.
Yeah.
And maybe because.
Yeah,
of
because
the
I
history
guarantee
of
if
the
somebody
house.
moved into my house, they
Well,
would
and it's-
croak because it would be, an average would be
Yeah.
$600 a
Well,
month.
that's not
And that's
fair
what it was
because
based on
a
before.
family of 2 could be moving into a family of 7. You know, it's just
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
But I think that
My
is
suggestion.
that probably in the policies or,
yeah, honestly, I
ordinance.
don't think I've ever looked at it.
it's
because I think
actually
that's set in an ordinance or.
It is an ordinance.
was
We would have
adopted
to-
something.
It would have to be an ordinance, but I guess I'm a little,
I think it's basically under the connection fee
what
part
are we
of it.
talking about as far as money?
Stafford is like, was it 150 over at Stafford?
I think Stafford charges a $150 connection fee.
I was talking to our accountant, and we came up with like 225 or 250. I personally think that's a little high, but I'm cheap, so.
Yeah, I mean,
That might take care of some of the other problems that we're having to fix down at the bottom of the page. If you get your fees up high enough, you might eliminate other problems.
Yeah.
So once you pay your one-time fee, you don't get it back?
Correct.
That's what she's saying, just a connection.
It's a connection fee.
Right. You're not
Then-
turning
well,
it on
then
and off.
you have to pay a connection fee if it gets disconnected too.
That's a reconnect.
That's a reconnection. That's
But they
all
don't
another
get it back, so
ballgame.
it's just the cities, correct? It doesn't go towards their bill or
It's
nothing?
kind of the expense for going out there and
Yep.
It probably will go towards the last bill that you are given if you leave. And
Yeah.
don't pay your bill.
I mean, there's quite a few people where we get a lot of last bills back, and it's been
I thought in there
We don't
said
have near as
something
much
about
slack
having
as
a
we used to
letter of
have, because we
credit
can
or
kind of terminate them now pretty short.
a letter of
Take
credit
very
or
long.
something like that.
30
You can
days
know
at the
that
most,
haven't paid
party's
that
over.
too.
Yeah, if they can provide a letter of credit and show that they pay their bills
Like they can't move from another town and they.
right, and the city
Okay.
wants to write and say, hey, they're in good standing, I don't see an issue with that. But I think we need to set a fee and do away with the deposit the way that it's been done. It's just,
What'd you say again that the auditor suggested, 200 what?
it was $225 or $250.
That's straight across the board. Every house.
Yep, every house,
everything.
yep. That or a line of credit. We'll get rid of the letter of guarantee.
Yeah. It says, cash deposits for the indicated utilities shall be in the following amounts, and it says electric service set by ordinance.
Yeah,
And it's-
What's that ordinance say, and where is it?
Telling you to turn on
hang
power,
on.
turn on reconnect.
Told you I'm gonna take that.
There is a stipulation in the code book, and the girls, in fact, Donna didn't know it when she was still here a long time back, that if you turn that service on and off more than once a year, that you'll be charged the time that service is off. And what it does is it stops people, and especially
Actually,
Uh,
this would be easier.
like
Is it online?
landlords from going in and
I was
playing
just gonna
this game
grab the
every
ordinance
30
book
days,
here.
you know, and we've done it. We started doing it, and now we don't have the problem with it that we did before. And it's been that way for a long time, but it wasn't ever enacted here. It wasn't ever used. So we had a guy that would call and just says, you know,
I was just looking through this and found it.
we turn it off today, turn it on next week, turn it off, you know, it's just a mess.
So you have
So,
some action. Or you-
no
you-
reconnect
you can only
fee,
do it
once a year, yeah. Yeah.
You get charged.
You get charged the time
Yep,
that
this
it's
was
off, you know.
Because this was the one that it says not published.
Yep, yep. I think we discussed that
You
today.
did.
Why was it? So you're charging a fee, you probably aren't authorized to charge.
A prospective customer which has no previous history or other record of service or guarantor shall pay a cash deposit equal to the expected average bills for a 3-month period for such utility services. The 3-month average shall be determined by taking the previous 12 months' total billings divided by a total of 4 to determine the 3-month average bill.
That's about as fair as you can get, isn't it? Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
will
because your living
remind you
lifestyle
that it
might be
wasn't
different than what
published.
mine is.
My bill's $500 a month. Yeah,
Rightfully so, so is mine.
yeah.
Well, how about Jamie and I just get some proposals together?
But when my grandma lived in the same house, it was $200 a month.
Exactly, sure. And that's right. Yeah, wasn't very good math there, was it?
I guess I should have just come to you with all of my stuff on the list today, huh? Okay.
For the rest.
But another option, Bandera Plus. I actually just recently got on the Center for Counseling board. I used to work there, and I attempted to get on there when working for Adams, Brown, Bear, and Law, but with a conflict of interest, I couldn't. Last week was my first meeting, which was kind of intriguing to me because they had, I guess I should have made copies for everyone. I haven't. Right now, they contract out their HR. They contract out their HR and their payroll. And they were looking at terminating their current contract with what they've been doing because it's such a pain to do the payroll side of things. Like, they do payroll, they send it off. So they've been looking at other HR companies, and they started speaking about this Bandera Plus. And it is an outside HR company, if you will, that can come in I spoke with the lady, and she basically gave me a proposal for an HR audit, and she and her team would come out and go over everything and just kind of give us tips and figure out what we need to look at and what we think is wrong and how everything is going. The rate for the HR audit would be $750 plus mileage, but that's just from Hutch. So, and this, she did send this proposal today, so I can make copies if you want this, or just with all of the changes, all of the mistakes that we have found, I personally don't think that this would be a bad idea, just to make sure that we are on the straight and narrow. I've also asked Aaron, the auditor, to come out and make sure that the budget is where it needs to be and everything is on the straight and narrow with that, because going forward, I don't want to continue to keep finding mistakes, and I don't want that on my head, because I obviously take things personal, and I don't want to continue like this. So
Did we look at this once before? Having somebody come and look at this stuff?
I have no idea.
Maybe
I don't recall.
before LaDonna.
I think it's a pretty good idea.
I agree.
I mean, and this could even, I mean, I might be wrong, but this company could probably even help us go over our policy and procedures, the pay plan, and all of that. I mean, that's what an HR person does.
And I have recommended these types, so I've never heard of this group, but these types of contractors for my business clients, because it's so easier than having me look at some of the stuff.
And it would be a lot, I don't know how to say it professionally.
So this would cover just them coming out and saying, well,
That would
this
be
is
what
what
I
needs to be
do.
done.
Correct.
This is what you're not doing right. And then
Correct.
anything above and beyond that.
Right. I will say with I'm assuming that the center is going to be a little bit different, because they're a tri-funded kind of non-for-profit, so they're probably going to be a little bit different. But we would have this initial audit, and then going forward, we would be able to look at a price per hour and what we wanted to work on. I mean, like John said, it's going to be cheaper for you guys than to have him, and I can honestly say, I don't have enough time for this. And I don't get paid by the hour.
No, because that's your own fault. I'm okay with it.
I think it's a
it
good
would be
idea.
a good starting point to look
Yeah.
at some
Yeah.
of our policies and procedures
Absolutely.
that may not be quite what they should.
Sounds like we have a long list of things we need to change.
It's taken a lot of years to build them up.
Well, it hasn't
I mean, if this makes it
been up.
a little bit easier
Right.
and adds
Right.
to that list, and we can take care of everything at one time,
Right.
I mean, even if we don't want to go forward with them, that would, like
It
you
would
said,
at least
at least
give
give
us-
us the
It gives us an
outline.
idea, right. Anything to make you guys' job a little bit easier in here, I'm all for it.
so
Need a
that
motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Any more discussion? All opposed?
Okay,
All
roofs. The ball was dropped in whose court? I don't know. I don't care. We're moving forward.
We skipped Golden Belt Telephone.
yeah, we can take it off.
We took that off.
Yeah, we took them off.
Right here.
Jeff finally got in contact, or the guy finally got back to us, I guess, with the flat roofs. These two bids are pretty.
There's like 4 or 5
Five
rows
bids.
in there.
Yeah, it's a total of $110,939 to fix all of the flat roofs. I frustratedly went to Trey and said, what's going on? How is this process working? Where are we at? This date is not incorrect, 12/5/16.
This was given to me by the clerk. The former clerk took it over and wanted to handle that. And and so I let her do it, and I found that stuff in my notebook the other day. So it's been quite some time.
So are they even willing to cover it still?
Moving forward, we kind of looked at these prices and said, whoa, because with the insurance money left, we're looking, because we got the money back from, with this, we have to pay for it, and then the money is then given to us. Okay? So I went to Trey and I said, can you please explain this to me? I don't understand insurance very well. And we sat down and we went through everything, and he was a little concerned on the quotes. And then he did a little bit more digging. He said he was going to dig a little bit more and ask a few more questions with the adjuster that did come out. But he eventually saw that the numbers to fix it weren't that far off, but was going to double check that for me. But with that, I believe there's about $48,000 left in the insurance. So we would be spending $110,939 on this and getting maybe $48,000-ish. I mean, give or take.
It's been 3 years.
Well, I know.
So there's that.
How bad are all the roofs?
The only one that I would probably address the most would probably be the east side of the Witt Center. It's the one that has a drainage problem in the northeast corner.
But do we just fix the whole thing for $41,000 and hope they pay us for it? Or did you say we had $48,000?
There's only two places we've really had a lot of problems, and that was up here and over there. The rest of them, you know. I think even the East Well House is on there, and we've got, Jason and I have talked about this a little bit. We're not too sure we wouldn't just put a shingle pitch roof on it and let it go and build a hatch for it to pull the pump out if we need to, instead of paying them to do those. The other flat roofs, I don't know what all, I don't remember what all was on there. What all?
Well, it's City Hall, the pool,
The pool.
shop roof, shop metal roof.
That's the
covering
one.
6
That's the one
skylights.
over here. The skylights were leaking. Yeah.
And
well,
then the
big
rec
deal.
commission.
They're not leaking that bad.
Your flat roofs between the Dillons building and this building are under
Yeah. Well, it's up on top of this part right here. Is what it is.
there. Right.
And then the slope across the top of the shop. But this part up here is the worst. At the base of these shingled roofs. I think if I was going to spend the money, I'd spend it on this, and I'd spend it on the Witt Center.
But probably that 48,000
It's not gonna-
is
it's-
everything. They may pay 5,000 to this, 5,000 to the.
Yeah,
Find
that's
out.
the thing. I mean, you know, we did coat that east side of that roof when landlords were still in business. It was pretty cold. We shoveled the ice off of it, and they came and repaired that. But the northeast corner of that building is settling really bad. And I think when Corey was still here, we went over and looked at over in that corner where that old overhead door was. It was framed in, but where the walk-in door is in pretty tough shape.
Which building are you speaking?
The Witt Center.
Yeah.
And it's because of that, because of the drop in that drainage, because that's a barrel type roof. And then it comes down and drains out the north end. Well, I would hate to even stick my foot in and say where we ought to go
But
first.
do we even know if these quotes are even good?
I would say they would be within 3%. I haven't called that guy back because the first thing I did when I found those was brought them into Pam. Jamie was gone at that time. I think she was going to a meeting or something, and I said to Pam, I said, you better look and see if any of this money's in here first before we go any farther. And that's where we come up with the $46,000 or $48,000.
No, the money's not there.
But it's not there.
No, you don't get paid for it until the
No,
work
after
is
the
complete.
fact.
Mhm.
See,
Right,
on
and
the
we're
other,
only
they pay-
guaranteed 48,000.
That's right.
And don't quote me on the 48,000. That was
Roughly.
That's probably the top end.
But Jamie, can you see if we can pick the roofs we want and if they'll pay 48,000 or where we would be?
I am gonna go ahead and say they wouldn't still just pay the 48,000 because when Trey was explaining it to me, it
It's
was
probably a percentage
per-
of each one.
Yeah, they're gonna want that covered back the way it's supposed to be, or they're not gonna pay on it. And they're not, and they don't, and they don't care anyway, because they don't insure us anyway.
But I did.
Have you received any insurance money initially?
On the asphalt shingle roof.
Okay,
Yes.
on this asphalt?
After it was complete.
Yeah, after it's
We got
complete, yeah.
And you
9,000
received that
something.
percentage, so what you have is a residual left that they're holding until you complete all.
And that's not very
Normally,
much.
it's till you complete all the work, or at least a certain.
Well, it was two different styles of roof, and so they were bid by two different companies, you know, that was the thing. And the original bid that we got on the shingled roofs was a lower bid by a company east of Medicine Lodge. When we contacted them to go ahead and do the roofs, they weren't in business anymore. They'd folded
So,
up
do we have
and,
62,000 to do all the rest of them?
Not without digging really hard at it.
We're gonna have to come up with 110.
Basically.
You're gonna have to come up with 110 off the get-go and then hope that you even
Get
get.
back.
Hope you recover
48,000.
some of
Okay,
it.
and that's the guarantee?
Oh my.
Yeah.
How, what is that, the WIT Center? As far as, we just get the money out of how is it paid for? How is the building? We own the building?
We own the building and we pay the maintenance
We
on it.
do the maintenance on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, by the money, the interest off of the money that they have in the bank, right?
is what
And
we
we have
spend.
like
It's the only thing we can
$14,000.
It's the only
spend
thing we can spend.
to help
It's not very
maintain it.
much. About everything
I-
we've spent over there in the last few years, we've paid for it out of our
I
pocket.
just recently found, I believe, the original documents to all of that, so that again is on my list. I got
think
told
we looked
today to
into
not
that
bring
here a
stuff
while
home.
Yeah,
back, and
but
it's
I
like-
mean, that 14,000, that's it. I think it only draws,
$1,100, $1,200. I
A
think is all
year.
that's in the
Yeah,
bond,
yeah.
I mean, that's all it brings in. So, I mean, if we deplete it,
I think it's a $50,000 or $60,000.
yeah, it's only $50,000 or $60,000
Right.
that we're drawing interest off of.
And then the recognition pays rent?
No.
No, that was given to them.
It was given. Nobody over there pays rent
Nothing.
for anything.
Okay.
We pay all
But
the
yeah,
utilities.
We pay all,
Pay
I mean, the city,
I bought $800 worth of lights for it the other day because the lights are going bad in it, and it costs more to replace the ballasts and stuff in them than it does to put drop-ins in them, so. And I guess I'll just take it out of the electric budget if the money's not there. I mean, that's all I can do.
So what do you want to do with the roofs?
See what they'll pay on each one and find out where we're at.
And so this bid was from
2016.
2016.
No, 2015.
12/5,
16 right
16
here.
right there.
12/5.
Yeah, but I mean, the date of the lost was in 15 though, wasn't it?
Right.
I believe.
Twin Quarters here.
Yeah. Well, it was when Mel was here. Mel was still here when they did that.
Tell them our
I
waste
think
center is
maybe
our primary.
Corey got
if we
this
can.
bid for us.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Jeff, you have anything else for them?
Off of this?
Sorry.
No. I mean, the shop roof over there, the skylights and that stuff's not a big deal. I mean, I would worry more about this one up here and that one over the website before I did anything else on
You don't got anybody that wants to shimmy up on there, just pull them skylights out and.
that. Well, I'll tell you what happened was, I was gone the day that guy come over and looked at those, and I can tell you that the guy that shipped him up there is no longer here, but he told him to get them out and put metal in the rows, and that's why it cost so much to do that. Or replace the skylights or something, but it was gonna be a fairly good job to do it. And it's a shop, I mean, we park dump trucks and stuff, and it does not hurt. So, you know, they don't leak that bad anyway. I got one in my shop that leaks, but you won't ground from it, so.
What else you got for us, Jamie?
What about your sidewalk? What was the sidewalk?
Oh, yeah. Sidewalk.
Okay, another
This
ball
is one
dropper.
I didn't know about this.
Oh, boy.
Before I start this, I'm just going to say I have been and continue to try to repair bridges that in the past have not always been there. I have a few ideas that I'll be proposing later. It's disturbing to me how many things keep coming to my attention that somewhere along the lines I just keep getting told, well, the city never followed through, the city never did this, the city never did that. So I'm just bringing it to your attention that, I mean, that's how our community feels about us, and that is disturbing to me. So hopefully we can continue. I'm I know we're all three of us department heads are working together and trying to get some of this fixed, but I mean, that's me just taking it completely to heart. But Carolyn Dunn sent me an email. Tyler Axman contacted her about the progress of the issue of Dollar General traffic. This is before my time. I'm assuming you all know what I'm talking about. You know, she did want me to remind you guys that it's not her coming to you, it's Tyler asking about it, and he is more than willing to come and talk to you guys. She didn't even ask for me to bring it up tonight, but obviously it's an issue, and he just kind of wants to know where we need to go. As far as she understood, she said when you got into planning where the connecting sidewalk could go, it appeared that existing infrastructure there, including the electric lines and the edge of the parking lot for the Methodist Church, had been installed without a land survey being done beforehand, and as a result, it appeared that there was existing infrastructure on property where it didn't belong. So there wasn't anything for the new sidewalk, and it just stopped.
Accessibility was an issue on that.
So she didn't know for sure. She wanted me to check with you if that was correct, but it looks like you guys looked at the old Joe's Electric building, who Shane Steinmetz had actually purchased, which now would be in his parents' possession. They didn't know if maybe we could look and speak with them to see if we could agree something on their end, having like an easement or a donation of part of that area to be able to finish the sidewalk and fence. Is it sidewalk and fence?
There was a fence discussed on the deal, but I think wasn't the
Dollar General was supposed to be on board.
stipulation that Dollar General was supposed to fence the back of
Well-
that, but that this sidewalk grant could not fund
Correct.
private sidewalk. Is that not the case?
You
Well,
guys got quotes on both, but I
You
think
talking about the existing?
What's left from them driving up the driveway
The
and into the back
sidewalk
of Dollar
to
General?
connect to
Yeah.
the backside of Dollar General was gonna come out of the city's pocket.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's right
But
in the
it's-
middle of that easement where that pole line is, and that's where we stopped, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
so she's saying if we could get something straightened out with an easement/donation, define clearly where the sidewalk can go and what amount of fence is needed. Ask, I'm assuming this is the Dollar General guy, for his commitment. Maybe we could get that finalized with a better, more complete solution than simply putting up some signs, because obviously the signs are not working.
So you have people driving into the back of Dollar General out back.
Through the grass.
Yeah,
Through
through the drive, yeah,
See
through the
when it
driveway
snows.
there going into Axman's.
My opinion
I have a
is
couple old barrels we could lay out there upside
Yeah,
down.
it's like
Yeah.
rumble strips or something.
Dollar General just needs to put a fence where that doesn't happen. and
Yep.
That takes care of
Do away
everything.
with the sidewalk. I
Yep.
mean,
There was some issues with trash at one point on that
Oh,
road.
yeah.
It was put up with
Well,
cardboard boxes or something.
It took us almost 3 months to get that resolved.
I think the trash
They were-
company had an issue with them when I first came on board too.
Well, I don't know. The issue was their containers that they kept their empty boxes and stuff
Yeah.
in weren't adequate to keep it from blowing
Yeah,
out.
yep,
And they thought that it was the responsibility of the trash company to make sure that didn't happen.
yeah.
And it was and obviously the manager doesn't have a whole lot of say-so in the internal operations of the
Well, and
business.
Dollar General doesn't own the building.
Yeah.
Or the land.
But
Or
the
the
upper,
land.
the upper
Right,
echelon
that's
was very
this
hard to deal with.
Mr.
Somebody owns the land,
Magnet
somebody
or
owns the
something?
building,
Yeah, this
and
guy
Dollar
owns-
General leases the building.
This guy owns a bunch of those buildings.
So do
With the
we
10-year commitment.
do we need to write a letter to Dollar General or the property owner or the building owner
But
to
didn't we
ask
have
them?
all that stuff surveyed when we
Yes, we
surveyed?
did.
And then after the results of the survey, we kind of looked at it and said, man, we're opening a can of worms here.
That's where the problem, that's where the problem lied, because of the, putting a sidewalk up through the middle of that easement where that pole line is. You know, that if we got up in there, we'd destroy the sidewalk, if we had truck work up in there. And the other thing was that where that easement sits, from the back of the Dollar General store building to the west side of the easement, their air conditioner set in the middle of it, right down the middle of it.
Yeah, I think think there was kind of decided that there wasn't much that could be done. Maybe the sidewalk wasn't gonna happen.
But I think the final determination was, I think the council at that time said that they thought Dollar General should, or whoever owned the building, should put a fence up there, and that would stop the problem.
Did we contact them?
It would stop a lot of it if you put it clear across there.
Yeah, but I don't know where it went after that. I remember when we did it, because I had the surveyor come down and redo it.
Some parking.
We restaked it because of that.
So who would you like me to send the letter to? The property owner, the building owner?
I'll
or
It's
read
gonna
it
have
now.
to be that man right there. And I think he committed 15,000 or something like that.
Well, what if
I
I
thought,
just sent
yeah,
a letter
something like
saying,
that, wasn't it?
But
hey,
that was for us to put up a nice white vinyl fence and pour a
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
not
the
putting up a
trade-off.
nice white vinyl fence.
Yeah. I think.
See, they were gonna give us a portion of that land out there so that we could put the sidewalk on it.
Yes.
Was the stipulation of having a
Yes.
8-foot white
Vinyl
vinyl
fence,
privacy
yeah.
fence.
And the homeowners.
I got a light pole, so we can put all kinds
And it
of
was
things
like
on
$28,000, and the guy that owned the property said that, the Dollar General said they would donate, they would give up to 15,000 of it for the whole entire
Yeah.
project.
Yep,
And that left the city footing a $35,000 bill.
yep.
Just put a fence clear across there and forget it.
I would say that Dollar General,
Yeah.
or the property owners, need to put a fence across
And the
it.
fact of the matter is, it's the people doing it that are causing the problem.
Right.
I drove down the street, and it doesn't look like to me that that's the best way to get to Dollar General, so I don't know why people.
They do that to stay off the highway.
Yep.
That's the reason they
But
do
if
it.
Dollar General wanted to be cheaper, they could just go put the cement blocks all the way around that
Sure.
perimeter of it, and
Yeah.
unless you have a 4-wheel drive truck, you're probably not gonna drive over them in the
Put
car.
a chain link fence across the back of it, you know, with some, like 96 Ag did with some slats in it or something, you know. But yeah, but in order to put it down through the middle of that easement is probably not a very wise decision. And I think that's what the council determined at that
Yeah.
time.
I don't think a ball was dropped on that. I think there was months and months of discussion on this issue.
Yeah. I do somewhere have pictures of that, because I called the surveyor. We spent
We surveyed at
$1,100
the same time
surveying
that we
that baby.
surveyed the highway.
The easement for out the shortstop.
Yeah.
Yep, we did, same time.
Because that's when I said, well, I said it may not hurt.
Yep.
I wasn't for the sidewalk going up to Dollar
And while he
General.
was there, we just had him come
I
over and
said, while
stake
he's
it
there,
off.
let's get it figured out. And
Yep.
that's when we found out that actually part of the church is built on part of Axman's ground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the northeast corner of it, the parking lot's on Axman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very poorly surveyed and
You know,
laid out.
Carolyn's
deal
been the
from
one
start.
that talked to this individual, and I don't know how that even got started. How she reached out
the
to
homeowner?
No, the Dollar General.
I guess take some light poles back there, so the cars down. I
Because
guarantee you.
she had to dig around to find this guy.
I don't think that's.
Yeah, she,
Oh, I don't think they would either. It's about every 20 feet. dig some-
she said, my part in this was tracking down the owner of the property, in parentheses, which took a lot of detective work since it's not Dollar General corporate, but rather an investor that leases to Dollar General, and asking for a cost share, which he said verbally he would be willing to do.
I don't see any way the city though can make him put up a sign, and I don't see any way the landowner can make him put up a sign. What do you reckon?
File
I'm assuming
complaints.
she was involved because it was the sidewalk thing.
Yeah.
I think they kicked the sidewalk out pretty early, as I remember. Weren't you on here when we did
I was
that, I
there.
think?
Whole thing that bothers me about that whole deal is it was sold to us that it would go all the way around.
Yep.
And then when we approved it,
Yep.
they came back and said, it cannot benefit one business or
No,
more.
that's
And that's
right.
the thing that irritated me the most.
And they stopped it, and then the
Yeah.
state right away come clear back up to within so many feet of that
Exactly.
building, they couldn't bring a sidewalk across the
Yep.
front either.
I
And
would've
they
put on
also
the
put a
whole thing.
6-foot sidewalk instead of a 5.
Yeah, exactly, yep.
Okay, so moving forward, would you guys like me to just say you're not doing anything, or would you like me to at least send a letter to the property owner saying this is still an issue, we would recommend putting up a fence?
I would think it'd be Dollar General's
Right.
obligation to put up a fence on their parking lot. Myself.
Something like that. See where it gets, doesn't get anywhere.
Would What's your
I'm
input, Bill?
not spending any money on a fence.
Yeah, I
or
mean, I don't know
sidewalk
how
out
you
there.
do it, put up a fence.
It's just too much money.
Kind of shame.
Maybe they need to put an electronic gate there, close it off.
It is a private drive, they can do
Yes,
as
it
they
is.
please.
That's exactly right.
It's kind of what you call an attractive nuisance, but that's usually when it applies to small children. You don't know that.
And I guess that there's nothing against the property owners of the house putting a fence up there if they want on their property
Yeah.
Just tell me what I need
to prevent that.
Send a letter
They
to
had
Don
to
Rios.
replace the concrete.
I'm not
We've
so sure,
got-
maybe we should send it to,
Is it, you said they
I
might
give
be
them
the parties
something on their
involved.
property?
I'm debating what, I mean, I
What's
don't know
that?
whether we should send it to all parties involved.
The air conditioner units are sitting on the.
They're on the easement, yeah,
We-
yeah, on the easement.
I would rather do a letter or something than to just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in Tyler's mind, whether the ball was dropped or not, nothing was done.
Right.
So as a citizen,
We need to.
we need,
Right.
and that, I mean, that's just more of the bridge thing. We need, even if we're not gonna do anything, that phone call or something needs made, contact. You know, even with complaints, we need to let them know, I got your complaint, this is why I'm not doing it, or this is why I'm doing it.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Fine with writing a letter to the property owner?
I'm all right with that, yeah.
Property owner or all parties?
I don't.
I'd say all parties.
All parties, and then
Yeah.
we got everybody covered.
Yep.
Let this landowner know that there's somebody on the other side that you're talking to, and if they want to shame them a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of let the landowner know where maybe his outlet is too. The landowner may wish to file something against the Dollar General for trespass or whatever. Or put up an electronic gate where only he can get through.
I figure the time's gonna come when we're probably gonna have to culvert that ditch to be able to get up in that pole line anyway, because they probably won't let us access it another way, you know. It should have been done to start with, probably,
Right.
so.
Do you have anything else, Jamie?
Not till the end.
Not doing
Till
anything.
the end.
Yeah,
The only thing I have is, I would like to buy an air compressor for the west shop over here. We keep all our dump trucks, loader, backhoe, grader, everything, mowers, everything over there. We have no air. Anytime we have tire trouble, if it's too big for our little portable compressor, we have to go get Marshall to pump anything up. And Napa has a compressor on sale right now that'd be the same size as, I talked to Marshall about this, because I wanted one that was big enough that would pump a grader tire or a sweeper tire or that up. And so Napa has one right now for $21.09 that's the same size as what Marshall has. He said he gave considerably more than that for his, but it's on sale now till the end of the month. And it's 24 cubic foot a minute, which would be big enough to pump up the stuff we got. And I'd take it out of the street department's money, so there shouldn't be any tax on it. It's all street equipment that's over there anyway. But we probably got 15 pieces of equipment over there and no way to even air up a tire, so.
Will it run an air wrench?
Yes, it'll run a 1-inch impact.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said he's changed truck tire after truck tire, never had to wait on it. Might be running, but never had to wait on it.
100-gallon volume or something?
80-gallon tank
80
with
gallon.
7.5 horse, 175 PSI upright. So he thought it was a pretty good price when I stopped and talked to him about it, because I wanted to know that we bought
If I
something
needed
big
one, I'd
enough
be buying one too.
to do that, but
And where's that at?
it's out here in Napa till the end of the month.
It'd be the old
It'd
fire
be the old
station.
fire station. We have no air over there whatsoever, none whatsoever. The only air compressor we have big enough to do that's in this room over here where our bucket trucks and stuff.
How much did you say that was?
2109. It's on till the end of the month, so.
Need a motion?
It's over my spending limit by $109.
Move to approve an air compressor for 2109 for Jeff's crew out there.
You usually work on stuff over there?
We have tools in both places. We have to work on stuff over there because it's too big to get in here. So, and then like all the dump trucks sit there, you know, that's an everyday deal. I mean, all them and the backhoe and the loader, skid steer, all the dump trucks, mowers, all three mowers, or two mowers set over there, serve machine. Everything we got with the exception of the electric department trucks is over there. So, all we have is a little portable compressor that rides on the back of the patching truck, so that's all we have. So,
Got a motion on the table, do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a motion on the table and a second, any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0.
that's all I have, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
No.
City attorney.
I should say, excuse me, I should say that we got guys, and Mark had made mention today that we didn't put out on Facebook or anything. We've got guys in town recalibrating water meters this week, so we can get the billing straightened out finally. So if you see two white trucks and guys in lime green t-shirts, that's what they're doing. They're recalibrating them so we can get them back so the billing straightened out, so the girls in the office are happy. So it should be done by the end of the week. So
Do they have all that stuff working? I mean,
it's we have
Communicating
withheld a check, a sizable check, and it was known. And you can ask Jamie; she was in here when I told him. He said, "If we start getting those going, will you send that check?" I said, "We'll send that check when they're working and they're done."
Okay.
The mayor says not before, and that's the way we're going to release it. It's about $44,000. They'd like to have it. They're not going to get it
They're
until
not getting
everything's
it,
up.
Well, that's
Until
what I
Pam's
was gonna
happy.
say.
When
They're not-
Pam's happy,
They're
we'll
not
send
getting
it.
it until,
I would like to see that it's up and working right.
Yep,
and
yep, and they know that.
Well,
And
and
Honeywell
the-
has a guy out here too, so,
Yeah.
and the communication back and forth between the billing.
yes, yes. And that's the thing. Until the
That's
billing,
gonna be-
until everything's right,
That's
we're not
be
gonna
the
send it.
thing. Because Pam
I'm
acted,
fine with that.
Yep.
the other day when I was talking to Pam, she acted like that's still gonna be a chore.
And I think her and Mark, the CIC guy, have been on the phone quite a bit, but, you know, they assured us when we sat here at the table, the day that, and Corey was still here when we discussed this, that it would be no problem to make it work with the billing. And it's been, well, we started in February, and it's still a problem, and Pam's not happy. And when Pam's not happy, nobody's happy up here. So when the billing's right, and Pam hits the button, and it comes in as does as it's supposed to, then we'll be satisfied. Not until. So we don't make many friends that way, but we will make it. So
What do they have to calibrate? You're just having some problems with
they
some of
change
the
it.
meters?
What it is it's for a leak detection. It's the end of the leak detection stuff, so that after a 10-gallon creep on that meter, it will send a flag up and show us that person might that household might have a leak, and it's an early way to let somebody know that they could have a problem that could be larger than that. But what it did was when it was 100-gallon now, and somewhere along the line, and if I was 20 years younger and I knew more about software, I might be able to explain it to you. But somewhere along the line, the decimal point on the gallons has been moved 2 to the right. Is that right?
I don't know. Summed up, the way that it's reading and the way that we bill is not correct. And from my understanding, it was never talked about being correct, and someone was supposed to create a formula to make
were
it
supposed
work,
to,
and
yeah.
it didn't happen.
And so that's what we're going through right now. And see, the thing is that it's,
So it's reading more?
yeah, well, it'll read clear up into the 100-gallon. It'll read up to the
And we only
100
charge
and the
by the
1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, right, and we only bill by the 1,000.
But
So
it's
we bought
sending the
meters
readings
to
for hundreds.
And when they get processed
Read
and
the
they
way
send
it
back
is.
through, then it's moved them 2 decimals over. So then consequently, what the girls have to do is they have to go back through and move every one of them
So
before they
instead of
process
1,000 gallons, it's gonna show 100,000 gallons.
That's the difference.
And that's why people call and say, I have a $4,000 bill.
And some of them say, I only had a $6 bill and I should have had a $600 bill.
People
So-
don't call and tell you that.
Oh, Phil Nestor did out at the lodge. Yeah, he said, this is not right, I can tell you right now. So, anyway, We're still in the working process, so we're not paying no money till it's done.
There we go. What's gonna happen when it gets caught back up?
Well, they've been able to change them by hand, but that's the problem. It's taken them 2 and 3 days to do this billing, where they ought to be able to hit the button, go through and verify them, and print them and send them. So what the girls have had to do is come back in and print the whole list, the whole sheet of every billing that we have, and move the decimals over and enter them in by hand.
I guess what I'm saying is,
And then it's not subtracting it from the month before, see? That's the problem.
so we're not gonna have customers with a ginormous.
Oh, we have, Ed. Oh, yeah, but we get
No,
them straightened out.
after they fix it.
No,
Yeah.
no,
We go
no.
through it by hand.
No, we
so
go through it by
fixing
hand.
issues.
They're fixing it
Yeah.
before it
So
goes.
if it's been
That's-
messed up previous.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not- They're
Has
not gonna
been-
get
They're
hit
not
with
gonna
it.
Has been for months.
The
No,
only-
we've been doing this for months.
The only time it's the calculation that is creating this, and so Pam or Jennifer or myself, when I was up front learning, had to go through it and try to calculate the calculation that should have been there from day one.
And a lot of times what it did was it caused us to have to go back and read those and call the girls and tell them so they could straighten it out. But yeah, we've stayed on top of it, but the deal was that I guess to write the program, he told us back in, what is this, September, he told us back in June that by third quarter, they would have it calculated out where they could do it. So this is what they're out doing right now.
So some of these bills, somebody's paid $6 for their electric bill. And you
Oh,
may have a
not
$500.
like, no, water only, no electricity, water
Just
only.
on water.
No.
Water only, no electricity. The electricity's right.
It's always been right.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If the new meter was in, it's been right.
And the
You
issue,
got one that hasn't?
Well-
I'd like to see it,
the issue that
No, I'm
we-
serious.
I've heard of them, yeah.
because we haven't had any. The only ones that we've had, see, we've been waiting on some strange configuration meters that we've had to do manually up until now. But all of the residential meters and about 95% of the three-phase meters were all done originally. And they should be right. There isn't any of them that shouldn't be, that I'm aware of. I've never been notified that they weren't.
Okay.
Because there's no, see, the thing about a water meter is essentially, I've got one over here on my desk, has a module and then the meter, and that module are married together so that module will send what the reading on the dial is. Then it goes into a company, a third-party company that calculates these for us, and they in turn send them back, and then when the readings come back, they're supposed to be calculated and ready for billing. They go through this CIC program that the girls use, and that's where the calculations come from. But the electric meters don't do that. They read from day one.
All right.
They're done that way from the factory. Now, if there's a screw up, I'd like to know about it. I really would, because we've never had one that I know of at all. Never have. So,
What I'm saying is the city maybe on the water side, they've got, we have got screwed out of
no,
some of
we've
the
checked.
possibilities.
No, I
Because
don't
it's just a
think so.
decimal point
I
change,
don't
right?
think so. It's a decimal point change is what it is. But we've been, Pam's been. We might have missed one once in a great while, but I think we've made them back up because if anything looked odd, she would tell us.
Okay.
Yeah, because she looks through them every day, and she's trained Jennifer to do the same thing, and then Jamie learned when she came too. So no, I'm pretty sure we've taught 99% of them.
Okay.
a lot of the difference, if you're hearing like their bills are more high, is the difference in like the meters were so old, the way that they
Maybe
calculated,
accurate, more
you know.
accurate,
Well,
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I
So-
mean, just like people, as the meter gets older, it slows down.
yeah.
And
So that's
these are
all the
100%
difference.
accurate. I mean, there's an accuracy comes out with every meter of this process. So
I like them.
Okay.
John.
I like them all.
I like the new meters.
Why?
I just do.
Bills are
My
cheaper.
bill's cheaper.
All right, my turn.
No,
Last council meeting, Adam brought up the issue of a EMS, right, bill that the police department had received, and I sent him some information, and he and I briefly discussed it. Since 2016, any medical care for an indigent individual would fall on the agency that's custody, whether that be the sheriff, the police department, or the highway patrol. And that was a change if somebody's arrested for a felony and it's a police officer arresting that individual, it would fall on the county because it would be a prosecution under state law. Now it's just dependent on the agency that has custody. So it would be the city's responsibility, but Adam says, you said that he may have insurance.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but I would assume because of his relationship, wouldn't be able to be considered indigent.
Basically, my suggestion is to have EMS bill him first, and if that isn't paid and it's determined that he doesn't have the means to pay, then it probably falls on the responsibility of the city.
But there is a section of the statute that says if a person has insurance, that it's to be billed to them first.
So I don't know if you want me to reach out to EMS, Adam.
You,
Number 9.
Do you want my new notebook? I have a new notepad you can look at. You can have a look at it.
This goes all the way back to May 3rd, 2016, but it gets thicker as you the letter from the county attorney, I've not heard anything. I think you should have copies of the letter I sent to him. I've not heard anything in response to that letter, but I've also been kind of MIA with I've got a preschooler and a kindergartner now and some other issues, so I haven't received a phone message. My secretary's also been gone for the last 3 days, so I don't know if he attempted to reach me and didn't. So I will reach out to him, but I have not heard anything in response to my letter. And then I found and forwarded an ordinance if you guys want to go forward with establishing that truck route. It's pretty simple.
Jeff, did you get that on your desk?
I have it right here, yes.
I just need the streets filled in.
Okay.
have you got all that figured out yet?
Not completely, really haven't had time.
That's why it's not in the packet.
Okay, well then figure it out and then put it in our packets.
Okay.
I
Let me do
think the
that.
fine I have in there, you have in front of you is $100, is that what I
I
have?
think a minimum of 100 and no more than 500.
Okay, can we talk about that?
We can talk about
Are
it yet.
you guys okay with that fine amount, or?
I'm good with whatever.
Yep. Sounds fine.
That's for the designated truck route, correct?
Additionally, violator charged court costs and reimburse the city for damage to streets.
And
That is if they're caught not on the truck route.
And there's exceptions for delivery
Yeah.
if you can't follow the truck route.
And I think that's more than fair. You know, we're in a small town, but I think that they can, you know, I went by there again today, and I apologize that I haven't taken care of this, but we're trying to get the street done where we can get it sealed the end of the week, and then things are gonna slow down here a little bit. But, you know, I go by that elevator half a dozen times a day, and I can see no reason in the world why there's not plenty of room to turn around on the scales and off the scales both, and get back onto Broadway or Main. So, you know, I see them. I saw one cutting across there this afternoon. So,
Where are they cutting across that?
oh, they'll cut on the east-west streets. They'll come down and sneak in on Prairie, and come across, and then come south. I mean, I've seen them come about every side street, come up Monroe. You know, they come up all of them. The signs, like I told you before, the sign's been hit at Pearl and First from swinging a trailer out too wide, right there on the street.
Okay, what's this gonna do to the truck parking in areas of people that's parking their truck?
They just have to be empty.
Just empty?
Yeah, just have to be empty. Far as I think John put on here 20,000, but you know, I mean, you can be. I think you could be fair with them. I know we've got guys that drive and haul cross country, you know, and park here in town. But the only one that I can think of that lives up here in the end of town, he stays on the main street when he comes in and when he goes out. And you know, we don't have to mark. We can mark that as a truck route. It doesn't bother me at all. But it's these little short streets that 90% of it's happening south of First Street. It's not happening up here. And it's out of town guys. You know, most of the farm guys, the local guys, are all pretty decent about coming in and out on Broadway. I mean, they really are. And I've even talked to a couple of guys, and one of them in particular that hauls hay here, and he doesn't have a problem with it either, and thinks it should be. You know, because he pays taxes in town and wants stuff maintained too. So, I don't think we have to be real chicken about it, but I think, you know, that I think they need the understanding that the amount of money that the city has for repairs, you know, we try to make last longer than one season, and if they're gonna choose to not follow the signs, then we're gonna get them. I think it's only fair. So, I mean, it would even exempt, like, it wouldn't even exempt your trucks if they were loaded, you know, but you guys do the same thing. You come in and out like when you load water and stuff. You know, it's not like you're turning corners on little short narrow streets that are residential streets and that stuff. I mean, you know, we can pretty well control what goes on, but I think it's just fine the way it is. So, we're just trying to do you a good job and keep it over 6 months. And it's kind of hard to do on a street that only has about 2 or 3 inches thick asphalt on it. So, we get enough complaints. We'd like to slow them down a little bit.
Council, got any questions for John? Anything else, Steve? Old business.
So are you going to
Violation.
present an ordinance, or?
John has it written up. I'll kind of make a designation here and try and get it all done before next council meeting. And let the council approve as to where they think it should go.
And who's going to enforce it?
Police department will enforce it.
If we have one. Well, I mean, if it is, well,
Yeah. It would be a misdemeanor. Yeah. It would be a local law enforcement.
so housing violations, the 5th Street, the owner called me the other day because he still hadn't got a response to the letter and the email. Our response to the letter and the email we sent back in a letter, just basically stating that it's up to them to make a decision. They need to contact Regals to get their liability insurance and all of that taken care of. That we were here for the initial contact. It's up to them to move forward. If they accept it, they can send the check to John. The 2nd Street properties, I actually got a call from Bob Triano today. He communicated that as soon as it's actually in his name, everything's signed. He just hasn't got it in the mail yet. So I asked him if he wanted me to wait and send another letter next week. And we finally came to the conclusion that, you know, it's pretty much his property. When he gets it all taken care of, he will start looking at cleaning it up. So I told him I would be getting a hold of him in a couple of weeks to make sure that is being done. I said there's no front door on one of the houses. It needs
There's
to be
nobody
taken
living
care
in
of.
either house now.
I have no idea.
Did you keep his phone number?
Yes, I have his phone number and he gave me his email. So I tried to be nice so he would call back. The 420 West 2nd, Chad got the bid out, or got the bid yesterday, so that one was set out today with Chad Fisher and Eric Regal's bids included in it with a letter stating that they can accept the bids or donate it to the land bank without any stipulations of us having to make it into a park.
Yeah, and I've not looked at the title on that because I was kind of waiting to see the land on this.
And then I did send a letter out. Doris did work for the 104 Southwest Street, and then on the First Street property on the corner.
First in Monroe.
But I have the letter and everything ready to go, and I handed it to Jennifer to ask her to get it put in the mail. And we actually just received the weed letter back. So I'm going to do a little bit more looking into how I need to proceed with that. But with Doris, I know Bobby doesn't want a ton of this open, but since I already have Doris's letters ready to go, I don't want it to be 3 months in between her writing that and us sending this out. So I'm gonna get what we have going, and hopefully these initial letters will just get them to realize that, hey, we're paying attention, and they'll get cleaned up, so. And I'm still planning on getting ahold of Lisa about some community cleanup days, or, you know, even if it's just community cleanup days, or maybe getting the school involved and allowing them to get some community service hours, so.
Can these properties be
Okay.
condemned, or do we have any control over these properties? Can we condemn them, or is that what we?
I think that's the beginning process of what we're working
We're
on.
going to
If I-
try the condemnation.
It's a
and then-
6-month process.
Yeah, and it doesn't, I mean, it's easier to, okay, the condemnation process is kind of basically that it's not habitable by a human being. And that's kind of what DOORS does. The other is just that you've got a certain period of time to clean it up. You don't do it, we're gonna do it for you, we're gonna tear it down. And that's what happened the last time with the Toots property. We've never gone through a process of
Actual condemnation.
well, I mean, you're basically ruling that it's not fit for anybody to live in, and then if it's not, can't be cleaned up, then you take the next step of abating or tearing it down. But the processes aren't really that different, it's just for different reasons.
Well,
You bet, Troy,
I drove down East Fifth, and I'm still not certain which property you're talking about, because I only saw, there's 4 properties east of Danny Smith. I only saw one that might be habitable.
Okay, the one we're talking about be the one right next to the one that you're calling habitable.
the 2-story house right east of you.
Right east of the
Hiram
two-story.
Baston used to live there years ago.
The pink house,
Two-story house?
No.
the one that's got the hole in the roof.
Oh,
We had this issue with and I forget the guy's name, he was in municipal court a bunch, but he was keeping dogs. And DOORS,
Simon Alman,
yeah, there were complaints about dog smells and everything else.
still off 2 years later.
No electricity, no heat or whatever, and it was kind of the position, I think the council at the time, that, the only other option is to put them out on the street. I think he made some progress cleaning up, I haven't had any complaints on it.
He still lives there. No lights, no water.
But yeah, he made a lot of progress on cleaning it up. That's about it.
Where is that?
First Street.
First Street.
He has a neighbor.
Straight up the alley from my daughter. Right east of Robinson's.
He had puppies or something.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of dogs.
But
in
he
there.
doesn't have near the dogs.
No.
No, he has them, they're just out in the county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the minimum he can have on the property, and the rest of them are out in the county,
Yeah.
making more. Last I was told.
Any other questions on condemned property? Or, I mean, on housing violation?
Nope.
So does not the Abrams, did they reply then to the letter? Or they just haven't received it yet?
They hadn't received it, but I kind of just talked it over with them. I advised them that we were the initial contact and that they needed to contact Regals. I gave them Regals information, so.
New business, letter from a citizen.
So I got this letter marked confidential to St. John City Council members, mayor, and city clerk. I opened it. I hope that doesn't hurt anyone's feelings. Written on September 14th to all of us, I will make this short and to the point. This is in regards to the ridge of dirt pushed up against my yard this summer. This is on Hoole Street between Pearl and Monroe Streets. This ridge of dirt is now full of unsightly weeds and stickers underlined. I recently pulled a 5-gallon bucket of stickers that were spreading into my yard. Not an easy chore, but I have worked hard to improve my yard and do not want stickers spreading into it. I am asking the council to please take action to get this mess cleaned up. Come by and take a look. Would any of you want this ridge of dirt, weeds, and stickers pushed up against your lawn? Thank you for your time, Judy Shelton, 223 South Monroe.
You want me to answer that? In fact, David could, if he's still here, he can tell you about it too. David had sent one of his guys out to do some grading. He wanted grading done, but he didn't want 2 foot of grass in it. And I got a little carried away. We didn't know about it for a few days. We were all busy. And we just have not, we've graded some of them back, but we have not been able to get all of them. And we know it's down there. And as soon as the asphalt's done this week, I hope we get to the rest of it. We know that some of this, we wanted to crown it back up, but the weeds have gotten in it. And it's not completely done yet. It's not the only one. He did every block of dirt street in town we had. So he's been reprimanded for it, and we're getting them as we can.
You know, sorry, Jeff, when you do something like that, you know, you take 2 or 3 foot up out of a side, you can't just throw it back in the road and have clumps. We're slowly gonna have to work it in, you know, break the grass up side to side. I mean, it's gonna be, even though it happened in 8 hours, it's gonna take a couple weeks to break it back out.
He was pulling this much of the grass and stuff out. I mean, this is what we have to deal with. And the streets are flat anyway. But we realize that if we pull it all out in clumps, we're gonna have a worse mess than what we had. So,
There's one bank that's been cut that deep. I mean, it's, I mean, you can, same way, you know, where that address is, if you take a look and look west, you know, you can see how much is taken out. You know, I bet it, you know,
drop-off's probably that deep on the south side, south across the street in Charlie's. So we're working a little of it back in at a time, but we can't pull it all in at once. So,
Has the homeowner been contacted and told us?
no, I didn't realize the letter was here.
Okay.
I mean, we've been trying to noodle them as we can, but it wasn't addressed to me, so I didn't see it.
I guess someone needs to probably contact her and make her aware.
I'll
of
go
the
by and see her.
situation.
I'll
Jeff,
stop by
could
tomorrow
you-
and see her.
Could you take a rototiller and chew that stuff up?
Unless it's on the back of a tractor, I mean, there's bunches of it. There, I mean,
Why don't
we've
we
got
just
blocks
took
of it.
the loader and scooped up that bit?
Because we're gonna haul off 10 or 15 dump truck loads if we do that. I mean, it's not only there, it's all over the south end of town, every dirt street we got. And
That butts right up to her yard, is the reason.
it butts up to our farm too, and I mean, we got it too. But it's, you know, if we could chop it up and break that grass up and roll it back out there, yeah, it would be great. If we did it in December, wouldn't be a big deal. You know, we'd pack it out, roll the weeds out of it, go right on. But yeah, without some kind of a tiller or something, it's gonna take a long time to do it. It really is. But if we could do that with a tiller and a tractor, yeah, we could roll it up, break it up, knock a bunch of that grass out, and it'll die and it'll go away. But
I've got a tiller on a tractor.
yeah, I mean, it might be worth trying.
Well, if maybe she's the only one that complained about it, we could at least get
That's
her
where we need to
file.
start.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Okay, we'll work on it, see what we can do.
And then do the other ones as planned.
Well, we're hoping we can drag them back out and get them broke up, but them guys have cut the streets so long, cut them so flat, let them grow out, that when you come through there, I'm serious, we're cutting some paths as wide as this table, and it made an awful mess. And we all knew it right after it was done, wasn't no two ways about it. Complaints come way faster than gratitude, so, yeah.
Okay, anything else on that letter?
How long you need, Adam?
Adam, I'll
I can start in 10 minutes.
entertain a motion.
Oh, hold on. Because we gotta amend the agenda, don't we?
Yeah, motion to amend.
Okay. I'll make a motion to amend the agenda for the addition of an executive session for the police department for, how do I put that, John? What he
10
says.
minutes for executive session to discuss non-elected personnel, to discuss potential merit pay raises, whatever they're called.
Second.
So all you want?
City clerk, council, mayor, and city attorney.
That's my motion.
I would recommend that you add another 5-minute executive session after that one.
And to add a 5-minute for,
Same thing.
Can we just make it 15?
well, no.
If it's
We're just
Council,
amending the
Mayor.
agenda right now. For a 5-minute. For the same thing. Well, I guess that don't matter, we can decide that, right? At time
And you
to
can
it
do it as one
includes-
motion, but I see what you're trying to do. I mean, I guess you can decide that first before we fix.
I'm just trying to get the agenda amended first.
So 2 executive sessions, one for 10 minutes, one for 5 minutes. The first one to discuss non-elected personnel involving potential pay merit raises with the police department. The second one is the same thing.
There's nothing really to do with pay.
Okay, non-elected personnel to discuss personnel matters related to police
There you
department.
go. There you go.
Okay, we get all that? You second that?
Got a motion on the table. Second, all in favor? All opposed? Mayor, council, clerk, Adam, Brett,
And John.
and John.